Greetings, everybody. Welcome to our webinar, Fundamentals of Zoho Sign, Overview and Latest Updates for New Users and Evaluators. I am Nandana Krishnan, a product marketer for Zoho Sign. I will be joined by our panelists who will be answering your questions as we present this session. With that, let's get started. Let me quickly take you through the agenda for today's session. I will be giving you an overview of Zoho Sign and a live demo of some of our popular use cases. This includes reusable templates, self-service form-based signing or sign forms, bulk send, signer experience, bulk sign, payment collection, and ID verification of signers. Further, we will also be looking at 3 new features with Zoho Sign. Following that, we will have a Q&A session, but do feel free to post your questions throughout the session. We will be sticking to the agenda mentioned above to cater to the new users. If you are a new Zoho Sign user or if you are interested in learning about Zoho Sign's advanced features, this is just the session for you. With that, let's get this session started. You are here because you are no stranger to the problems with workflows in modern businesses with minimal or no digitization and automation. Here's where Zoho Sign comes in. Zoho Sign helps you draft agreements with ease, collaborate with stakeholders and across various departments, automate workflows to minimize manual intervention, ID verification to authenticate signers, collect payments from within agreements, and collect signatures from anywhere at any time. To find out how Zoho Sign can help you, here's a quick run through of Zoho Sign's top features. A very obvious feature is that Zoho Sign can help you sign documents online and collect signatures and approvals easily and securely. For commonly reused documents, you can use the template feature and use Signforms to collect signatures using a link that can be embedded onto your website. Further, you can use bulk send or bulk sign for more efficiency. You can also produce and manage legally binding documents with Zoho Sign. We also have audit trails that help keep track of all activity and generate reports to ensure complete accountability. Further, you can automate your processes with field detection and summarize long documents with text summarization. On your screen, you have an overview of some of the major e-signature laws across the globe. Zoho Sign is fully compliant with all of these regional electronic and digital signature regulations, such as the PIPEDA in Canada, the eSign Act in the USA, Norm 151 in Mexico, ECTA in South Africa, KICA in Kenya, the EIDAS in the European Union, ZERT-ES in Switzerland, ETL in Saudi Arabia, ITA 2000 in India, and ETA in Australia, Singapore, and other parts of Southeast Asia. We also make sure to keep your data secure with local data centers across countries. We are constantly in the process of building more to meet the highest standards of security and privacy. This is also supplemented by compliance with data privacy and security regulations, as you can see on your screen. For example, GDPR, HIPAA, FDA CFR Title 21 Part 11, and more. This is further backed by detailed reports, tamper-proof audit trails, blockchain-based timestamping, and trusted document digital timestamping. Zoho Sign offers encryption at rest and in transit. We also mandate the use of multi-factor authentication, MFA, which adds an extra layer of security to keep unauthorized individuals at bay, and we use a single set of credentials across apps. We also do not run any third-party trackers or ads to monitor what you do. This ensures data security. We also provide automated backup to cloud storage. If you are an industry in the healthcare, if you are an organization in the healthcare industry, there's something for you as well. Zoho Sign offers a specialized compliance module that helps you adhere to strict data privacy regulations. Zoho Sign also integrates with a network of trusted third-party service providers all over the globe. The services offered include identity verification, digital signature creation, timestamping, and electronic stamp duty payment. On your screen, you can see the list of integrations that we currently offer, like Global Sign, Tenda World, PSC World, etc. We also constantly strive to build more integrations in different countries across the globe. Further, you can integrate Zoho Sign with any of these Zoho or third-party apps like Microsoft apps, Google, CRM apps, integration platforms, or cloud storage apps without any complex setups or data migrations. Simply sign into your Zoho Sign account and connect with the apps in your existing workflows for a seamless digital experience. Also, Zoho Sign is synchronized on the cloud, and this is across all platforms. So you can access and manage your documents at any time at your convenience from anywhere on the device of your choice. We also have a native mobile app for iOS and Android and a desktop app for Windows and Mac OS. So go ahead and download Zoho Sign for an enhanced e-signing experience while you're on the move. Now that we have a brief idea of Zoho Sign, let me give you a live demo of some of our popular use cases to give you a better idea of what Zoho Sign does and what you can expect. Just give me a second to share my screen. What you see on your screen is the Zoho Sign dashboard. Just give me a second. As you can see, there are two buttons on the Zoho Sign dashboard. So one is the send for signatures and the other is the sign yourself. So I will explore the send for signatures button first. So when do you use send for signatures? So let's say you need to collect documents, you need to collect signatures for a particular document. That's when you use send for signatures. This is pretty straightforward and intuitive. Let me show you how you can do it. Also, I have added sample documents to our chat, so you can follow along if you want to as I do the demo. So let me just show you how you can send for signatures. First, I'll just go over to send for signatures and I can add a document. So I can either add a document from desktop, from cloud, or from templates. I will get a little bit into templates a while later, but for now, I'm just going to add a document from my desktop. Once I click on desktop, I can choose from the documents I have. For now, I want to upload an NDA, so I'm just going to do that. And once my document has been uploaded, I will be able to rename my envelope. So I'm just going to rename this envelope over here. And once I'm happy with the name, I will just move on. You can see that now we move on to adding our recipients. So I can just add the email of the recipient I want to add to the document signing process. Go to add my first recipient. I can just click on here and add my second recipient as well. So I've added my second recipient to the signing process. If you do want to add yourself to the signing process, that is possible as well. Simply click on add me and you are added into the signing process. So how can I change the order of the signing process? Let's say I want the third recipient to sign second now. I can simply drag and drop. I can also change the numbers by simply typing. So I want my second recipient to sign first and my first recipient to sign second. I'm just going to renumber this. And now you can see that my document workflow has been changed. I can also opt for parallel signing by simply changing the number. And now my first recipient will receive the document first. And both my subsequent recipients will be receiving the documents at the same time, enabling a parallel signing process. I can also remove a recipient from the workflow simply by clicking on delete. And now my recipient has been removed from the workflow. Now, let's say I don't want a signing order. What do I do in that case? I will just uncheck this and now my signing order has been removed. But let's say for this particular signing workflow, I want a signing order. So I'm just going to let the signing order be. And as you can see, my name was auto-populated. Now we can move on to the recipient actions. If I click on this drop down, you can see that there are multiple recipient actions. Let me take you through all of these one by one. So needs to sign. So in the case of needs to sign recipient action, your recipient will be simply signing the document. There is also an option for an in-person signer, in which case a host from your organization, let's say, goes on a sales call and you want to get a document signed from your recipient. In that case, you can add your host to the signing process, who will transfer over controls to your recipient, who will sign the document and hand over the, transfer the control back to your host. That is what in-person signer is. There's also a case where you can sign with a witness, which is basically witness signing, in which case a witness will be added to the workflow to overlook the entire signing process, to oversee the entire signing process. There's also an option to manage recipients, in which case you will add a recipient who will further be able to modify or add details of the recipients. I will get into this feature a little bit more in depth in a while, but for now, that is what manage recipient does. There's also an approver who simply approves the document, or there is a recipient who simply receives a copy. For now, I'm just going to let both my recipients be signers. I can also change the delivery method. So I can choose from just email or email and SMS. Just going to let it be email. I can also further personalize recipient actions, actions for both these recipients. Let me just show you how you can do that. So I'm just going to click on customize and I can add a private note. So I'm just going to add a private note to my very first recipient saying, please sign. Once I've done that, I can change the authentication type as well. So I can add an email OTP, an SMS OTP, or a dynamic knowledge-based authentication, which is only available for the US users, or select an offline code. For now, I'm just going to remove all authentication types and click on none. And I can select from the list of email and interface languages. So selecting from a list of email and interface language won't actually change the language of the document. Instead, it will change the language of the email and the interface that your signer will see. So let me repeat myself. This doesn't actually change the language that the original document is in. For now, I'm just going to let it be English. I can also change from digital signature providers. I can either let all providers enabled by the administration be used by the signer, or I can select specific providers that I want the signer to sign with. For now, I'm just going to let it be all providers, and I will just click on save. Once I've clicked on save, you can see that my private note has been added to the first recipient, and my second recipient has not received any personalization, but I'm just going to move on. Over here, I can go to more settings. And here you can further change the settings of the document. So I can change the number of days to complete the document. I can change the agreement validity of the document. I can change the document type. I can change the folder. I can add a description. I can set up automatic reminders and how many days I want the automatic reminders to go out in. So with days to complete the document, I'll just let it be 5. For agreement validity, I can either let it be forever or select a particular date that I want the agreement to be valid until. For now, I'm just going to let it be forever. I can also add a document type by clicking on this plus icon or simply drop down and select from an existing document type. In this case, I'm just going to click on NDA. I can also add this to a folder. Let's say I want to add this to a HR folder. So I'm just going to let it add it to an existing folder. I can add a description and I can set automatic reminders, meaning my recipients will get reminded every 2 days via email to sign the document. I can also add a common note to all the recipients. So this is different from the private note. This note that I add will go out to all the recipients. I'm just going to say, please sign ASAP. And I'm going to click on continue. Once I click on continue, I will be taken to the document viewer. As you can see, there is a quick view of the document on the left. You can find the entire document in the center. You can see that there are the recipients on the right and fields over here. So with the fields, you have standard fields and custom fields. So let's say you are not you want an additional field that is not there in the standard fields. You can just head over to custom fields and create your own custom field based off your requirement. So in the standard fields, we have signature, we have stamp, we have company, we have full name, we have initial, etc. We also have a date and a sign date. Let me quickly take a second to explain how date and sign date is different. So with the date, you will be able to add a custom date. But with the sign date, you will only be able to add, it will auto-populate with the date that the document is being signed on. So let's say if I add the sign date, it means that my recipient, the date of the signing of this document will be added over here. Now, how do you just assign fields to a particular recipient? Like I did before, you simply have to click on the recipient and drag and drop the fields. So let me just drag and drop the fields. I've added 3 fields to my first recipient. Now, how do I switch to the second recipient? It's the same way. I just click on my second recipient and drag and drop the same 3 fields. So I'm just going to add a signature field. I'm going to add a full name field, and I'm going to add a sign date field. Once that is done, I can just click on send. Since I am the first person in the signing order, I will be able to sign the document right after sending, but I'm going to uncheck that for right now. And I can verify the number of fields added for each recipient. So my first recipient has 3 fields and my second recipient has 3 fields. Just like I'd added signature, full name, and the sign date field for both these recipients. I'm just going to click on confirm. And now my document has been sent out for signing. Now, how do I track the progress of this document? So once my document has been sent out, I will be able to view the progress under the Documents tab in the In Progress section. Once you come over here, you can see that my document has been sent out. and it has been sent out on June 17th, and I can just track the progress by clicking on the document. Once I click on the document, you can see that my document has been mailed to my first recipient, and my second recipient hasn't received it yet because I had set a signing order where the first recipient has to sign the document before it reaches the second recipient. And it's that simple to sign a document with Zoho Sign. So now that we've seen how you can collect signatures from Zoho Sign, let's say you want to sign a document yourself before you send it out. So with the sign yourself, like I mentioned, you will send out an already signed document. Let me just show you how you can do that. You just have to head over to sign yourself. Once you click sign yourself, you can add a document. Just like before, I can add a document from the desktop or cloud. So I'm just going to add a document from desktop. Let's say I add the same document. I'm just going to click on open. And now my document has been added. Once the document is added, I'm just going to rename the document. As you can see, there's no option for you to add recipients because you are the signer in this scenario. So I'm just going to click on continue, and I will be taken back to my document viewer. Once we are at the document viewer, the same thing applies where you can see the quick view, you can see the document, and you can see the signer. So in this case, the recipient is just us because we are the only people part of this signing process. You can see there are standard fields and custom fields. In this case, I can just drag and drop, and the fields will auto-populate with the information from my Zoho Sign account. So I'm just going to add my full name and a sign date. That is it. Now my document has been, I just have to click on sign via, and I'll be able to sign my document. So now that my document has been has the fields auto-populated, my document has been signed successfully, and I can email the copy of this document to my recipient. So I'm just going to add 2 recipients who I want to email this document to, and I can click on send. Once I've clicked on send, I will be able to send the document out to my recipients, and you can track the progress under the completed section. Since you have signed the documents, technically the signing process is over. You've also mailed the document, so you will be able to track it over here. Here you can track the progress. As you can see, it has been mailed, viewed, and signed. So that's how easy it is to send out signed document to your recipients. Now that that is done, let me give you a different use case. So consider a use case where you have one document that you need to send out to multiple people at the same time. What do you do in that scenario? It can be quite tiring to go over the entire process of adding fields or dragging and dropping fields and adding recipients one by one to the entire workflow. So that's where bulk send comes in. So how do you use bulk send? It's the same process as before. I go over to send for signatures. I add a document from the desktop. Let's say I want to add my NDA again. Let's say I want to add a different document as well. How can I do that? I can just add the document from desktop, and I'm going to add a different NDA. Let's say I want to add 2 NDAs at the same time, and I can just rename this document. I will just let it be NDA. I can add myself to the signing process as well if I want. But if you want to bulk send, you can just come over here and click on add bulk recipients. Once you click on add bulk recipient, you will be able to upload a CSV file. I will just click on upload, and I will add my CSV file. Once I've uploaded my CSV file, you can see that all my fields are populated over here. And as you can see, you can add multiple fields, but the email and name of the recipient are mandatory fields. So once I'm happy with how this looks, I'm just going to click on import, and my CSV file has been imported over here. I can also add myself to the signing process. I can add a different recipient to the signing process. For now, let me just add myself. So with the bulk recipient, you can see that there are only 2 recipient actions where they can either sign the document or simply receive a copy of the document. You can also further customize this by adding a private note. You can add an authentication type. You can also add digital signature providers. I'm not going to add any of this right now. For the other recipients, you can just do the same thing as before, where you can add a particular recipient action. You can change the delivery method, etc. It's the same exact thing as before, except you will just upload a CSV file for your bulk recipients. So I can also go over to more settings and change the settings over here. But I'm happy with how this looks, so I'm just going to click on continue. Once I click on continue, I will be taken back to the document viewer. As you can see, there is a quick view on your left here. There is the entire document over here. and there are the fields here. So I can just drag and drop the fields. So I will click on my first recipient, which in this case is the bulk recipients. So I'm just going to drag and drop 3 fields. I'm going to add a signature field, the name field, and the date field again. And I'm going to do the same for the second recipient. Now, as I mentioned before, I told you I would take you through the apply fields across the document feature. Let me just quickly run that feature. Let me just quickly tell you how you can do that as well. Let's say I want to add a stamp field, but I don't want to add it to just this page, and I want to add it through all the pages of this document. I simply have to right click on this. And as you can see, there is an option where I can place fields on other pages. Once I click on this, you can see that I can either place fields in the exact same position on other pages in this current document or all documents. So let me just say I want to paste on all documents. You will have to measure, you have to make sure the dimensions are the same. But for now, I'm just going to let it be in the current document, and I want it to be in the first page only. So if I want it to be on multiple pages, I can do that as well. And that is how you can place the same field across the document. Just make sure that your document has, the same dimensions across. I'll click on OK. And now my field will be applied across all the pages of the document that I can do this to, that, fulfill the requirements. Once that is done, as you can see, I've added the recipients for the bulk recipients. I've added the fields for the bulk recipients and for the second recipient. I simply have to click on send. And as you can see, there are 3 fields assigned to my bulk recipient and 4 fields assigned to my second recipient. I just have to click on confirm. And now my document will be sent for signing again. And I will be able to track the progress of this document in the exact same place as before. I just have to go over to documents. I have to go over to the in progress section. And as you can see, my first recipient has been mailed the document. So once they complete the process, I will be able to track that here as well. I can also see the second recipient who has received the document in the same place, where you can see that my second recipient is also over here. So you can track the progress of these documents in the in progress section. So that's how easy it is to bulk send your documents with Zoho Sign. And that's how you can quickly send the same document out to multiple people. Now, let me give you a different use case. Let's say you have one document that you frequently reuse in your organization. It can be quite cumbersome to go over and add fields over and over again every time the workflow is starting. So that's where templates come in. I'm just going to click on templates and show you how you can create a template. Once I do click on templates, on the top right corner, you can see that there is a create template option. Once I click on this, I will be able to add a document just like before. Let me just click on add document and add a document from the desktop. Once I have added my document, let's say I want to add an NDA over again. Once I've added the NDA, you can see that I can rename the template's name. So I'm just going to rename my template. And if you remember before, there was just an email and a name field. Here we have a role as well. This is because when you are creating a template, you don't necessarily know who the signer is going to be. In this case, you can just give them a role, and you can fill in the email and name when you are just sending out the template for signing. So here I'm just going to add a role for my recipient, and my recipient is going to be a signer. So I'm just going to do that. I can also add myself to this workflow, and I'm adding myself as the assigner. Here I can change the recipient action again. I can change the delivery method. I can customize each recipient. The process is the exact same as before. I can also change the settings. This is just like before. And I can either save and close here, but I'm going to click on continue. Once I do click on continue, you can see that I'm taken back to the document viewer, where there's a quick view on the left. There is the entire document here, and there are the fields over here. So I'm just going to assign fields to my recipients just like before, where I can add a signature field, I can add a full name field, and I can add a sign date. I can do the same for my second recipient as well, where I will add a signature field, a full name field, and a sign date field. Now you might be wondering what the third pre-fill by you option is under recipients. Let me just quickly take you through what pre-fill by you does. So when you click on pre-fill by you, the fields will be filled out even before you send out the document. Let me just show you how that works. So once you click on pre-fill by you, let's say I want to add the stamp of the company over here. Once I drag and drop, uh, this field will be auto-populated with the information on my Zoho Sign account. So if I add a company, this information will be auto-populated before this document goes out for signing. So that's how pre-fill by you works. For now, I'm just going to click on save. Once I've clicked on save, my template will be saved. Now you might be wondering how you can use this template to quickly send out a document. Let's say you don't want to go over this entire process again. So how can you quickly send the template? So there are three ways that you can use a template. As I had mentioned before, once you click on send for signatures, if you remember, there was an option for you to use the template. That is one way you can use a template. Another way is simply by hovering over this plus icon and clicking on use templates. Another way you can use a template is simply by clicking on the actual template name itself under the document tab. As you can see, the fields I had pre-filled is over here, which will be as in filled in even before the document goes out. So those fields have been filled in. I can add a signer to this process right now. And I can edit the document, I can add a comment note, I can customize it further right over here, or I can even click on continue and go back to the document viewer and change the fields on the document. But for now, I just want to quickly send out the template. So I can simply click on quick send. Now my document will be sent out for the signing process, and it was really quick. So you can do this with commonly reused documents or frequently reused documents in your organization to eliminate the need to go over the entire document process over and over again. So you can track the progress of the template under the in progress section again. And as you can see, the template used was the NDA template that we just created. So that's how you can create and use a template with Zoho Sign. Now that that is done, let me give you a different use case where you need to embed a link or a QR code into your website. So now that you've created a template, you want to convert that into a link, or you want to convert that into a QR code. So how do you do that? That's where Signforms come in. So let me just show you how you can make a sign form. I just have to go over to Signforms, and I just have to click on create sign form. Once I do that, I will be able to choose from existing templates that I have. So there are certain requirements for a template that need to be fulfilled for it to be able to be a sign form. So if you remember, in the template I had just created, I only added a role. I left the email and the name field of the first recipient empty. That is one of the requirements of the sign form. And you can see the list of templates that you can convert into a sign form right over here. So I'm just going to click the template we just created, and I will add a name to my sign form. Let's say I want to call it non-disclosure agreement. So I'm just going to rename my sign form. I can change the validity of the sign form as well. So just like before, I can either let it be forever or select a particular date that I want the sign form to be valid until. For now, I'm just going to let it be forever. I can also enforce an OTP for the sign form. So I can change the delivery type for this as well. For now, I'm just going to remove the OTP. I can also limit sign form responses. I can avoid duplicate responses, and I can allow signers to resume signing from their previous response. For now, I'm just going to remove this as well and click on create. As you can see, my sign form has been created successfully. Now, how can you copy the URL of the sign form? I simply have to go over to this ellipsis, click on it, and click on copy URL. Once I do that, I can see that there is a URL of the sign form over here. I also have the sign form URL QR. So you can either download this image or use this link to lead your signers to the sign form to sign the document. Further, let's say you want to take it a step further and you want to personalize the URL. You can also do that by clicking on personalize URL, in which case you can add the recipient name, email address, or even other values to automatically pre-fill the form. Let me just click on copy and copy the URL. Let me just show you how a sign form looks like. Once I copy the URL, you can see that I'm redirected to a form where I can add my name, I can add my email, and I can start the signing process. So this is how a sign form works. And that is how you can use these sign forms to embed links onto your website or QR codes onto your website for your signers to start signing. So and now that I've shown you how you can send for signatures, how you can sign yourself, how you can bulk send, how you can create and use a template, how you can create and use a sign form, let me just show you the signer side of things. So let's say you have to sign a document. Where will you find these documents? As you can see right on the dashboard, there is an option called Need Your Signature. Under Need Your Signature, you can see all the documents that currently require my signature. If I want to start signing, I simply have to click on one of these documents. Once I do click on that, I will be taken to the document. And before I even start the signing process, I have to confirm that I have read and understood the electronic and signature disclosure and provide my consent for the signing process. Once I have provided consent, I will click on agree and continue, and I will be able to fill in my fields. So as you can see, these fields are auto-populated because there is information on my Zoho Sign account. So these fields are auto-populated. I can simply click on next, and I can sign via one of these many digital signature providers. For now, I'm just going to sign with Zoho Sign. So I'm just going to click on Zoho Sign, and my document has been signed. So you can either email this document to yourself, you can print this document, or you can download this document. For now, I'm going back to Zoho Sign Home, and let me give you a different use case to consider. So let's say I have 3 documents over here that need my signature. But let's say you have multiple documents that need your signature, and you don't want to go through the process of signing the documents individually over and over again. That's where bulk sign comes in, because you will be able to sign all these documents in a few clicks. Let me just show you how that is done as well. I simply have to hover over documents and go over to the need your signature option, which is under received. So I'm just going to click on need your signature, and you can see that all the documents that need my signature are listed over here. Let's say I want to sign all these documents at the same time. I can simply check all these documents and click on sign in bulk. Once I do click on sign in bulk, you can see that all the documents that are compatible to be signed with bulk sign will be listed over here. And I can also remove any of these documents from the process. Let's say I change my mind, or there is a document that I want to go through, or make some revisions to, I can just remove that over here. But for now, I want to sign all these documents. So I'm just going to provide my consent and click on sign in bulk. Now that I have initiated bulk sign, you will be able to track the status under the Documents tab. So you can either go over to all documents and track the status, or depending on your document and the signing workflow and where you are in the signing workflow, you can either track them in progress or under completed. So now that we have seen how you can also bulk sign documents, let's also take you through a use case where you can collect payments from within Zoho Sign. So how can you do that? Let me just click on send for signatures and show you how you can collect payments from within Zoho Sign. So the same process as before, I'm just going to add, let's say in this scenario, I want to add a rental agreement. So I'm adding a rental agreement, and I can rename the name of the envelope after my document has been uploaded. And I just have to go through the entire process all over again and show you how simple it is to collect payments. Now I'm happy with the document name, so I'm not going to change that. I can also add my recipients. So I'm just going to add my recipients. I'm going to add myself. I can change the recipient action. I can change the delivery method. I can customize it for my recipients. I can change the settings, but I'm happy with how all this looks. So I'm just going to click on continue. Once I have come over to the document viewer, you can see that there are 4 pages to my document over here. So I'm just going to scroll down, and here is where I want to add my fields. So let's say this is my second recipient. I'm just going to add a signature field and a full name field. But for my first recipient, I want to add a signature field, a full name field, and I want to add a payment field as well. As you can see, the payment field over here under standard fields, I will drag and drop the payment fields. And as you can see, there's a pop-up that says that my payment is collected through Zoho Checkout. So since my Zoho Checkout account is already configured with my Zoho Sign account, I will be able to view all this information over here. But if you haven't configured, and if this is the first time collecting payments with Zoho Sign, you can just head over to the Zoho checkout. You can just head over to Zoho checkout. Once you do, you will be able to follow the steps on your screen and create a Zoho checkout account that you can configure with your Zoho Sign account. So as you can see, you can just set up a payment gateway, you can create your payment page, you can personalize your page, and you can simply start accepting payments. So once you do go through all those steps, you can select a checkout organization over here, and you can select a checkout payment page. So why do you need a payment page? Let's say you collect payments for different reasons. So to properly organize this, you can set up different payment pages to collect payments for different reasons. In this case, I'm just going to let this be. And as you can see, the currency code is in USD because this account is of a US domain. I can also add the amount. I'm just going to add $500 over here. And my payment will be collected through Zoho checkout. Now I'm happy with how this looks. Just like before, I'm just going to click on send. And I can see that my first recipient has 3 fields and my second recipient has 2 fields. And I'm just going to click on confirm. Once I've done that, I will be able to track document progress at the exact same place as before. I'm just going to click on this rental agreement to show you how you can track progress. As you can see, my first recipient has a payment amount of 500 USD and this payment is pending. After they have paid, I will be able to view it here because it will say that they have paid and signed the document. So that's how easy it is to collect payments with Zoho Checkout and Zoho Sign. Now let me take you through a different use case where let's say you have a document that is particularly sensitive and you want to add an additional layer of security to this document. What do you do in that case? That's where dynamic knowledge-based authentication comes in. Let me just show you how you can set this up and how the signer side of it looks as well. So I'm just going to click on send for signatures and I can add a document over here. So let's say I want to add a social media policy. So I'm just going to upload that and I will rename my document into social media policy and I'm going to add myself into the signing process. I can also add another recipient. Once I have added my recipient and myself to the signing process, let's say I want the first recipient to only sign with, to have a dynamic knowledge-based authentication before they even view the document. I simply have to come out to customize and add an authentication type. So I want to add dynamic knowledge-based authentication over here and I will click on save. The entire process remains the same. If you do want to go to more settings, you can change the settings over here. I will just click on continue and I'm taken to the document viewer and I will add the fields. So I can add the signature field over here. I can add a sign date field over here. I can add a name field over here. So I'm going to do the same for my second recipient. So I'm adding a full name field, a signature field, and a date field. Once that is done, I can simply click on send. And in this case, I'm just going to sign the document right after sending. So I'll show you how it looks. So I'm just going to click on save and sign. Once I do click on save and sign, I will be taken. And even before I can view the document, I will have to authenticate my identity. So I can just click on proceed. And as you can see, there are several fields that you have to fill in, including your first name, your last name, your year of birth, your last 4 digits of your social security number, your address, and you can proceed to the next step. In the next step, you will be asked 5 questions on the go, and you will have to answer these questions. And as the sender, you will be able to customize this to your preference as well. So that's how you can verify signer's identity even before the signing process starts. So that's pretty much all I wanted to show you for this demo. Let me just come back to the deck for a bit. Just give me a second. I will start sharing my deck now. So while that was it for the demo, if you're wondering if that is it for Zoho Sign, that's not all. Zoho Sign continually strives to make your signing experience seamless. And here are some of the newest features in Zoho Sign. We have added a new recipient feature. This I had mentioned before. So it is called Manages Recipient. Let's say that you are not directly aware of all the signer details at the time of setting the workflow. This manages recipient feature allows the addition of a new recipient whose details you are aware of, who in turn can review, modify, or add details for the signer to allow for an uninterrupted workflow. In terms of signer experience, we have also added a new trust service provider, IgniSign, based out of the EU to give you more AES options. Signers can obtain a digital certificate through one of the approved authentication methods to sign digitally with IgniSign. Another feature is custom simple mail transfer protocol or custom SMTP that refers to the setup where a business or user configures their own email server to send emails from Zoho Sign instead of using the default email server that we just saw. Along the same lines, we also have custom domain mapping to enable businesses or users to let their customers access Zoho Sign with their custom domain. For a better understanding of Zoho Sign, here is a list of resources, including our help documents, knowledge base, legality guide, and solution guide. You don't have to worry about noting everything down right now. We will share this presentation with you after the session is over, so you can access these links at your own pace. If you have any more questions or suggestions for us, feel free to contact our dedicated support team by reaching out to us at support@zohosign.com or support@eu.zohosign.com for EU users. And to stay updated on the latest features, trends, and events, join our community by subscribing to Zoho Sign on YouTube and follow Zoho Sign on X and LinkedIn. That brings us to the end of our webinar. We hope our webinar was useful and informative to you. Thank you for joining us today. We hope to connect with you soon again.